Well, he's a true Renaissance man. He's got wide, eclectic interests. He knows a lot about most things, and he can do about anything. He's a master woodworker. He runs competitive marathons. He cooks like a trained chef, though not quite as well as Charlene. When my mother-in-law has something that needs to be done at her house, she calls Pat, not me. And when I'm confused about anything, my wife says, just call Pat.
Everybody knows about Pat's intelligence and his skill and his experience, and all of those things lend themselves well to being successful at what he does and what he's done for the city and the community, and other organizations in the community like Union Mission or like our church. But I think it's really more about his heart than it is simply his intelligence and his skills, and the humility he brings to the work that he does. I think Pat will probably always underestimate the impact of his life and his life on countless numbers of people in this community.
Pat understood clearly, and he had the spirit to recognize that until the least of these was able to reach their full potential, none of us have. And so he's always had a very special heart and understanding for those who were without. And so that included people who were unhoused, people who had fallen down on their luck. So he was always trying to find ways that we could better serve those who didn't have the ability to come to City Hall, better serve those who could not come to city council meetings, better serve those who could not make a campaign contribution.
He had a vision for Savannah and Chatham County, as I have a vision, and we share those visions. And the vision of Pat's inspired me to be a better leader at Union Mission. And he brought me up to a higher level to see what we could do as a community to strengthen Union Mission, to expand it, to make it more effective, more accountable.
When he left the county, he was very excited about retirement, spending more time with Charlene, family, building furniture, giving back more to all his nonprofit and church activities. And then, of course, Union Mission was in a spot where they needed some interim leadership, and he stepped up to the plate. And he didn't have to do that. He was so excited about doing the things I just mentioned, but yet he felt a calling. And in his heart, he felt that he had to do it, and he was the right person at the right time.
Yeah, I can remember a lunch meeting with Don Waters and Bill Lattimore, and we were all on the board at Union Mission, and it was in a particularly difficult time where we were trying to raise additional funds, and we were having a kind of a leadership transition issue that we were having, and we sat around the restaurant and we were basically wringing our hands, and Don looked at me and he says, David, what are we gonna do? And I said, let me call Pat Monahan.
So we called Pat, and he was enthusiastic from the beginning and said, I'll give you, say, 6 months. I think it turned out to be more like a year or better. First, he absolutely firm, you will not pay me.
Every organization succeeds or failed based on a person who adopts it as its patron saint. And Union Mission has many patron saints through the years. Mr. Lewis, helping get it started, obviously Don Waters. But I think if you look back through all of the various places Union Mission has been and where they're going, the one constant person who has been the patron saint of Union Mission is Pat Monahan.
I've had the privilege of working with Pat for over 20 years, and I consider him to be a mentor. He's a mentor figure in my personal and professional life. Pat is the kind of individual that doesn't mind in sharing, his wisdom. Anything that you think you would need help with, he's been there, and he's been a source of information and guidance for me over my career.
Pat is knowledgeable about just about everything, it seems, and he doesn't boast about it. He simply tells you what he knows when you ask. He is generous to a fault. with his time, with his money, with his efforts, my goodness, with his efforts. And it's just remarkable. I'm so envious of him and so in awe of him. And most people I know who are bright, who are gifted, also come with big egos. Pat's not like that at all. You can talk to him about anything. I'm proud to be his friend. I'm flattered to be his friend.